I built a mini food brand in Nigeria, started from scratch from a Nano business, literally starting from a living room, testing the products, going through the entire process, getting NAFDAC, getting it certified, getting it built a distributorship network that got it into over 100 retail outlets. But here's what nobody tells you, and that is why you should be locked in to go through this video. So I always say this, it is possible to start a business with nothing. We've done it, and I've particularly done it like 3 times or 4 times already. Start a business with nothing. But you see, to grow a business, you need funding. And then to scale a business, you need financing. So these are part of the things I'm going to cover. I'm going to cover 4 different areas. I'm going to cover strategy, all the things we do in terms of strategy, and then the mistakes we made in terms of strategy. I'm going to cover product development and research and market testing, and then I'm going to cover marketing and sales, and then finally I'm going to cover financing. So it's going to be full flesh and bare. So let's go back to the very beginning. What sparked this idea? Like I said, we were just young and budding entrepreneurs trying to do something, because I personally believe that we've got a continent to build, and as Africans, I essentially believe that it is entrepreneurs that are going to be responsible for the development of Africa. If you look at the statistics from organizations like SMIDA, you can see that the highest employer of labor are micro and small businesses. They are not fancy, they are not glamorous, they are not going to be on Forbes list, but guess what? They are the real backbone of the economy of Africa, and they are the silent builders. So we decided to do something local, something homegrown, and what we decided to do was look at the Abraham Maslow hierarchy of need and say what are the opportunities, what are the problems, what are the needs we can address, and then we picked food. And then when we picked food, as at that time, the Nigerian government were doing a lot in terms of promoting micro and small scale businesses, and so we decided to take advantage of that, and then we launched out, and then we took off. And our strategy was distribution first, and this was born out of my admiration of how amazing the breweries, how they are able to distribute their products, their alcohol drinks across almost, there's literally no place that you go to in Nigeria that you're not going to find these alcohol drinks. And yet it is considerably cheap, as at the time we were doing this. I think a beer bottle was going for about 200 naira. And I was like, how are they able to distribute these things into even the remotes of village at this, and then they sell us about at the same price across board. And then guess what? It's something that is in a bottle, is bulky, and yet they're able to distribute it and still sell it at the same price. So I was obsessed with the whole concept of this mass distribution, and then I looked at it as distribution as a strategy to literally be out there, available, a strategy to be available, and then from there create visibility, and as a result of the visibility, that will create demand. That was our whole concept. How did we start? How did we actually start? We had no money. Our first meeting, I called a meeting, a strategy meeting. I think we had about 6 or 7 persons in there. And then I sold them the vision of, this is what we want to build, this is how we're going to go about it. And trust me, all of us didn't have money. And so what we did, I said something which I'm going to say to you. All you need to actually start a business, listen what I said, start a business. I didn't say build a business or grow a business. I said start a business. It's actually your mobile phone. Everything you need is actually there. The contacts, that's the people you need. If you understand the concept of the 6 degree of separation, which means you're 6 people away from anybody that you want to talk to. Anybody you want to talk to, you're 6 people away from them. So that basically means you know one person that knows one person that knows one person that knows one person, up to the 6th degree that knows the person you want to meet. So I sold them on that vision, and then I said, we are going to raise the money we need to get started. And so what is the first thing we did? We called another meeting, this time prospective distributors. And the reason I was able to do that was because I was coming from the multi-level angle. I've done a little work in multi-level, so I built a small network, and then I decided, okay, let's do this. So I called a meeting, and then I showed them the vision of what we want to do, and then I said, we're going to have distributors, and they are going to be the ones that will push these products once we get the product ready. So, but to secure your slot, you need to make some deposit. So a couple of persons saw the vision, believed in it, and then put out some money outlay. That is the money we first used in developing our first line of products, and then we tested the product in the market. How did we test this product? We literally remember what we did was floor-based products, like floor-based products here. So, but we literally tested the product, and then we got feedback from our consumers. And when I mean testing, we didn't give it out for free. We couldn't afford to give anything out for free. We literally sold it. And that's one of the things I always encourage people. In business, you must learn how to sell. That's just the truth. So we literally sold it, of course, using our distributors that have already engaged in this vision, plus ourselves. We literally sold it, and then we sold it to our clients. They tried it out. Some loved it, some did not like it, some gave us very stern feedback. We gathered all the feedbacks and iterated and improved the product immediately, and then kept improving until we got the product that we wanted. And then these products were really amazing. Some of the feedback we got were really mind-blowing. So this whole process took more than 6 months. This whole product development process took more than 6 months. We didn't bother about NAFDAC or every other all those things, but we just were testing the market. And how were we able to do this? We were still semi-unbranded that time, because we were not able to access shops. We were not able to sell it properly at large scale. Why? Because we didn't have compliance. So, but we knew that the only way we can work on trying to go get compliance with NAFDAC and every other product requirement is for us to be able to make sure that we have a product that the market have told us that they actually like. And how to do this is by actual sales. You see, a lot of people make this mistake of thinking that, oh, your friends and family told you, oh, the idea will be nice, the business will be nice, and people start the business out of that. No, if someone really says the product will be, they will like it or they will love it, ask them to make a commitment, a payment. That's when you know if truly they will want this product. So that's what we believe, that's what we knew, and then we decided to go through that approach. That's the one thing we got right. We actually got people to pay for the first set of people. Remember, they were distributors. We sold them on what we want to develop, and then they bought the idea purely because they knew us before. And then some people also referred us to other people, and that way we were able to raise some money, just a little, to get the products developed and then tested. And of course, we got the feedback, kept improving the product in total. And then finally, when we were able to get the product in place, the product that we were satisfied with, the market was also satisfied with, by demonstrating that satisfaction through payment. So when you had people, because we literally also understood something about sales. So one of the things we did, I'm jumping ahead, one of the things we did in terms of sales was to sell the product in bulk. We sell in bundles. We don't sell retail. We don't sell one by one. So that way we were able to gather a significant amount of money in a short while for us to be able to do this market testing. And then immediately we're able to be sure that the market love what we have to offer. That is when and only then did we go about trying to see how we can get a factory set up, how we can also get NAFDAC certification for the product, and then of course access retail outlets. So now this is done. We've done our product testing, we've done our innovation. There are two innovations of which we used in moving this product. First, it's the distributorship strategy we used, and secondly, it is the product. We developed a good product that is proven by market demand that the market actually wants this product and can pay for it. But there are some mistakes we made, which is something I'm going to talk about now. And one of the mistakes we made is that in terms of strategy, The key mistake we made was positioning wrongly. Now, remember, we try to make a flour-based product which people can use and make swallows. And as a result of that, it's healthy. Now, that already shows you the demography of people we are trying to address. But we were not locked in on that demography. We try to expand our net by our model of trying to distribute. So you see, that was a strategy clash already. Our strategy clashed. So on one end, we are trying to be as cheap as possible. On the other end, we are trying to serve an already defined premium market by the way the product is already designed. So that was a strategy clash. So we were trying to lead with cost, at the same time trying to lead by differentiation. So that became a clash. And what that did to us was this: we did not actually serve anybody. So what do I mean by this? We tried to distribute to everywhere, and then we figured out that most people in some places could not afford the product. Even when we tried to price it as close to as possible as Gary, the local product, and as Semovita and all of those kind of products, guess what? They still did not buy it because, one, they don't know the products. We didn't do anything about marketing. So why? We didn't have the funds to do that. We just wanted to be available in their neighborhood. So they didn't know the product. Yes, we were there, but they didn't know the product, so they didn't trust this. They could not buy it. And that taught us a lesson. At the same time, because we are trying to be cheap enough for everybody to buy, we compromised on quality. And when I mean by quality, we compromised on things like packaging. We're trying to package it as cheap as possible. And as a result, we had a lot of issues with our packaging, where we had cases where the products would tear, the cartons would be scattered, and all of those kind of things. So what did we finally do to correct that mistakes? We learned our lessons. And what we did was, now, based on the analysis we got from our sales report, this is very important. You keep iterating a business by simply doing what? Studying the pattern that the market is actually showing you. I think it's Mike Tyson that said, you have a plan, but when you go into the ring, a punch, you just forget everything. So this is it. First thing there is, like I said, we had a mistake of trying to serve everybody. So immediately we figured that out, we straightened out. And how we straightened out was to now decide who we want to serve. And when you define that, now in retrospect, this is something we should have done from the very beginning. So if you're starting a business, or you want to scale a business, or you're stuck, I think this is something you need to look. Who are you actually serving? You need to be very clear, and don't try to confuse the market and try to do what everybody is telling you or something like that. So we defined that. As a result of that, we went for the best packaging possible. We presented it proper, and guess what? The price went like 5 times more than our original price. Guess what I learned? This is something that I used to hear it. I studied business, so we have done a lot of case studies, but I experienced it first time for the first time. We increased the price of the product 5x. That's 5 times what we were charging before. Guess what? The sales did not drop. The revenue went high. This is weird, but why? We were able to clearly identify who we want to serve and then serve them properly. How did we serve them properly? The right packaging. And then we were able to identify, where are these people? Where do they gather? Where do they meet? What are their habits? What are their spending patterns? What are their buying behaviors? As a result of that, we were able to go look for them. So we started selecting retail outlets. Instead of being in all retail outlets, which was our original plan, we started selecting premium retail outlets that could afford, where the people that go there could afford the product, and also even consider the product something that they need. So it's actually a need for them. Why? They want to keep fit, they want to look healthy, at the same time want to enjoy their best soup. And so we were able to communicate clearly to that demography, and as a result, instead of our sales to go down, our sales actually went up. And guess what? Our revenue went higher, and we ended up having to produce less product. Why? Because it's very funny. I don't know how to put it, but the effort it took us to produce the cheaper ones. You can't compare that with this. And another thing is we also changed like for instance, we used to do 0.9 kg and 1.8 kg. We eliminated the 0.9 kg and stuck to only the 1.8 kg. Trust me, it almost takes the same effort to produce the two. So we went all in and narrowed in on the demography. That was very important. So one thing to learn from here is this: define your strategy from the very beginning. Market entry strategy. Are you going to lead with cost? If you're going to lead with cost, make sure you have the financial muscle to compete with cost. Or you're going to lead with differentiating, targeting a niche, a smaller market. So that's what we were able to do. What we did from the very beginning was vertical integration. One error many people do. And that's one of the biggest mistakes we made, and one of the biggest lessons I got from that, from building this food brand. Pick a hustle. From the very beginning, pick a hustle. What do I mean by that? So many of us start the entire vertical integration. So what do I mean by vertical integration? Is you're the one that sources the ingredients for production and for processing. You're the one that handles the processing or manufacturing process. You're the one that handles the packaging. Now, these are three different businesses. You're the one that handles the packaging. You're the one that handles the distribution. That's the fourth business. And then you're the one that handles retail sales. So only you're running 5 businesses all in one. Now you see why it's very difficult for you to grow in any form. Why? Because you're doing 5 different multi-billion-dollar businesses all at once with no money or with little money. So what that was one of the mistakes we did. And so what did we learn from that? We decided to, we're already started production, we've already gotten NAFDAC certification. So what can we do? We decided to leave some businesses. Why? We did not have the financial muscle. We are not Dangote. Even Dangote did not start the way we started. Dangote started by distribution first. When he had enough customer and enough demand, that is when he started vertically integrating by, first of all, packaging, and after packaging, he now entered into full manufacturing. So that's how it's done. But we went all in at once. So what did we do? The best thing we could do is we're already here. So the best we could do was to now start eliminating some businesses we do, or some components of the business we do. So one of the things we eliminated was distribution. So we remember originally we started with that model, but along the line, we decided to drive it more by ourselves. So we eliminated, and then we decided to now develop a business model around distributors. We don't compete with the distributors, we don't retail, we now refer retail clients to our distributors. So we completely eliminated ourselves from the distribution side, and then we were able to also, remember, we have now retargeted our market. So we were able to identify the target market, and as a result of the comfortable pricing, we were able to factor in a margin for distributors. What is the margin? It simply means distributors are in business to make money. So remember that when you sell to them at wholesale price or at distributor price, they will also add money and sell to retail outlets. The retail outlets will add money and sell to the consumers. So you need to consider all of this in your pricing. So that's why we were off completely when we started the pricing and tried to do the low cost. We did not have enough margin for distributors to want to do business with us. Why? There's no business for them to do. So when we restructured, we made sure that our pricing was proper. And then how do you know that your pricing is proper? You have enough margin to accommodate distributors and retailers. And what are the retailers? The supermarkets and all of that, they are the retailers. Then you have distributors who are the ones that will take it to the retailers or directly to the consumers. So we were able to now have that healthy margin for these people to be able to come in, and it paid off. One of the biggest breakthroughs we had in terms of sales, I'm going to talk about that, is that as a result of this, we were able to now frame our whole campaign, our marketing as marketing efforts towards distributors or not towards consumers. Now listen to that. That was a key strategy that helped us. We framed our entire marketing effort towards distributors. So our marketing was designed to look for distributors, not designed to look for consumers. As a result of that, we were able to attract a customer that bought a truckload of products. This is something, imagine how long it would take for us to sell retail one pack. And then we had someone buy 350 cartons at once, 350 cartons of 12 packs each. So imagine how long it would have taken us to sell 12 packs times 350. But one person bought it. Why? A distributor. Why? Because we were able to know who our real customer is. So because we stuck to the manufacturing side, our real customer is not the consumer. Our real customer became the distributor. So we framed our whole messaging, our whole marketing message, our whole branding message, and everything directed to the distributor. As a result, we were able to attract more distributors, and as a result, we were able to enter more quality retail outlets. Remember, we've tested with trying to be everywhere, so we were able to guide our distributors. No, you can't be in this store, you can't be in this store, you can't be in this store. These are the stores that will move fast. This is where, and this is the reason why, and we show them the analysis and everything. As a result, the distributors were able to get proper sales, and as a result, more business came for us. You see the benefit of that? So you need to know there's a difference between who your consumer is and who your customer is. So our customer here was distributors, and they are not consumers. So our distributors now took the products to retail outlets, and some of them sold the product directly to the end users, the consumers. So that is a very key important thing when it has to do with strategy. You need to know, you need to clearly define that. What else did we do in terms of strategy? We've quickly found out that customers were the one that will now tell us, oh, we need this product in this area. So we will look for distributors to now access those retail outlets, not us going directly. What does this provide us? Remember, we don't have a lot of money. We don't have any money even. So we needed the upfront payment. This is strategy now. I'm talking about financial play now. So if we are to take a product directly to a retail outlet, you know they won't pay you immediately. Some will pay you after 80% of sales, some will pay you after 70% of sales, some will pay you after 60 days, some will pay you after 45 days, after 30 days, depending on how they choose to pay you. We could not afford that. And if we were doing that, we will not grow. Why? Because we'll literally go and tie our money down for 60 days or till after 80% of sales. So that is what the distributors paid us upfront, and they were the ones that will now wait for that. As a result of that, we were able to expand further. You see, that is why you cannot be in all the areas of the business at once. Pick a hustle, like I said. So what does that mean? Upfront payment. A distributor pays us. So there were still some retail outlets where before we could get distributors there, we would go first to warm the place and then get our products there. Then we look for a distributor that literally will take over from us. But along the line, we also found another strategy, but this one is purely finance. So I'm going to now talk about finance right now. So one of the ways we were able to finance this project, I've talked about it earlier. One of the ways was sell-first approach. Sell first and then collect the money and build the business. So because we were literally bootstrapping, we had to sell. We literally needed to sell first. And then by sell means we sell you the idea, you give us the money, we use the money and go and develop the product. Some people think it's impossible. Of course, those that have done it, they know what I'm saying. It's really practical. So I always tell people, if you want to start a business, start from the sales side. Why? It's a better market validation exercise than anything else. Customers parting with their money in Africa, in Nigeria, that means they really believe in the thing. So we sold the vision, we sold the idea, and then distributors, initial stage of first steps of distributors came. That's the money we use in doing product testing and product validation. And of course, we kept working with them and kept selling. And as we made money, we used the money to also started growing vertically by, of course, getting compliance. Once we got the product tested, we set up the factory. So now, that's the first thing we did in terms of financing our startup, bootstrapping it, sell first. We decided to do order financing. So literally, we'll go and get an order from a supermarket. They want us to bring our products in there. And then we'll talk to some potential investors, prospective investors, and say, look at this. We have this order already from this major supermarket that you already know. So we need to supply them, and we need this also amount of money to supply them. Once we supply them, it takes 60 days for them to pay. So after 60 days, this is the commission we are going to give you. And then we'll repeat this process. A lot of people liked the idea, and some people gave us money. And as a result, we were able to also penetrate the retail outlet, not with our own money, but getting investors to act as the distributors this time. But they were investors, they did not touch the product. Some of them never even saw the product. Some were not even in Nigeria, they never saw the product. But because they know, they've seen what we're doing, they were able to give us the money based on, and then we did not do perpetual collecting of money. So it is funding of an order, a direct order from a supermarket that we've already closed the deal. They say bring so quantity. So that request, we use that request to raise the money, and then we use that request, and once we raise the money, we go into production and supply. Remember, they typically give you like 7 to 30 days at most for you to supply. So we needed to build a backlog of potential investors and pitch this idea. We kept pitching it. So once we get these orders from the supermarket, we get investors. Remember, we don't have money. For every money we had to buy one machine or the other, which is something that is why I said, don't go and do vertical integration from the beginning, especially if you don't have the resources. And if you have the resources, don't just assume the market is going to accept your product. Many people underestimate what it takes to sell a product, and that's what I'm going to be talking about when it comes to do with the marketing side, what we did with marketing. Even though distribution is part of marketing, but I'm going to tailor down to what we did with marketing. So still on finance, we were able to do this, get people to give us the money to fund orders, orders from supermarkets. And as a result, they gave us the money up front. We use the money to produce and go and supply the supermarket. When the supermarket pays us, we give them the profits from their own side. We take our profit from our own side. So basically, we finance distribution. That was a strategy, one of the smartest things we did. We literally finance distribution. But there's a downside to it, which is one of the mistakes we made. I think that in a hurry, we were not able to look at what could go wrong with this model. And one of the things that went wrong is when we started having issues. One supermarket got burned down. For those of you that are in Abuja, you could tell one supermarket got burned down. The second one got burned down. In fact, the second one were taking up about 40% of all our total sales, and the supermarket got burned down. That was a big blow for us. We never saw that coming. We didn't factor that into our risk assessment. So of course, these investors will start clamoring, and then even though you show them, oh, see the situation, it kind of slowed down business for us and everything. And then in terms of financing, as a result of successfully doing that, we decided to scale that model by attempting to enter one of the major retail outlets in the whole of Nigeria, which is ShopRite. So they demanded that we have the capacity to supply. That was huge for us. That was big. We of course we didn't have that capacity at all in terms of manufacturing, and in terms of distribution, we didn't have that capacity at all. But we decided to now draw in investment. And this is one of the mistakes we made, and it's very important you listen to this. Because we were successful with the small order financing, we decided to do this large scale using that same model. But we did not factor in the time. So we we went to raise money, and guess what? We raised this money in foreign currency. We raised it in pounds, and that's one of the worst business lessons I've learned. Of course, if we had done our analysis properly, we would have factored in the risk of inflation and the risk of foreign exchange or the risk of our local currency devaluation, but we did not factor that in. Of course, we were just excited and desperate at the same time. We wanted to grow at the speed of light. Remember, we just wanted to take this thing to the next level, just like you are excited right now. So you make some errors, and this was one of the biggest errors we made. As a result of that, we got that money. It was a loan. It was a finance that was structured as a loan. Remember, there are two types of money. There is equity and there is debt financing. So this was a debt finance. So literally, a debt simply means it's a loan. You pay back with interest. And we used the model we used in funding the order from the supermarket, which used to last like 60 days at most. So we told this person it's going to take 90 days, and then we are able to give you social percentage. And that's one big mistake we made. Now remember, you're building a business. You must know that it's not all money that is good money. Don't out of desperation go and accept funds that will end up killing your business. And this is one of the biggest mistakes we made. So we brought in that money. Guess what? Naira dropped by almost 80%. So let's say the money you brought in, we've not even bought the machines we wanted to buy from China. We've not even bought anything. But because we got the money and then exchanged it to Naira, while the money is still in our account, just a few things we've been able to pay for, the money has already lost 70% of its value. Now, just thinking about it, 70% of the value of the money wiped. So we could no longer purchase the kind of machines we wanted. And that's also when the food inflation started. So the ingredients that cost us, let me give you a typical example. One of our inputs was millet. So a bag of millet, we used to get it as at when we started for like 7,000 naira. A bag of millet rose to 13,000 naira as at the time. But imagine we used to get something for 7,000, it rose to 13,000. And here we are with this money that we just got. And we have to pay back with interest in foreign currency. These are things nobody tells you when they are into business. But these are things you need to factor in, especially when you want to step up to the next level. Remember, we were able to successfully grow this business from a nano business, literally running from the living room of my business partner, to where we got factories and all of that. So we were like, let's take it to the moon. So we decided to play in a different league without factoring in the risk associated with that league. We were trying to get out of the small business tag. A small business is any business that is making less than 100 million in revenue annually. So we wanted to move to the mid-sized business. So basically we wanted to be among those that is making between 100 to 1 billion in a year. And then we decided to bring in these funds. And that was the biggest lesson we learned. This literally cost us our business because we were not able to source other finance to be able to cushion this. Of course, we didn't remember food inflation also started quite aggressively. When we realized that this is a sinking ship, I probably did one of the biggest and most difficult things I've ever done in my life, which is letting all stakeholders know the state of affairs and actually taking the biggest decision, my biggest business decision ever, to actually shut this business down. That was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. So I had to talk to family, I had to talk to customers, I had to talk to distributors, I had to talk to investors, I had to talk to well-wishers, like literally coming out to say, this aspiring dream, this aspiring vision, this is our baby, we have to kill the baby. Now, knowing when to shut down a business is as good as knowing when to start. That's the biggest lesson I've ever learned. It was the very tough decision, but I do not regret it till today. I do not think that there was a better way to go about it. Until today, I still don't think there was a better way to go about it. Many people can no longer afford that product. Of course, they'll go for cheaper alternatives. So that was another lesson I learned, that if I had done a proper research and factor in this kind of external factors, I've done something like a pestle analysis or even the Potter's 5 forces, I would have seen that they tried to substitute other alternative products like the Semovita, the Gary, and the rest is a threat to our business. And when things went bad, people just went to the cheaper alternatives and stayed there. They didn't care about weight management and all of that anymore. So that really taught me a big lesson. And as a result, when we built our next business, we were able to do better. So I talked about marketing. So our marketing was very simple. We developed a website. We decided to use a lot of digital activities. So we built a website, and this website had a distributorship an affiliate program, which is an automated distributorships platform. So the distributors can literally see their sales, their orders, everything, their dashboard, and of course they can also refer other distributors and get commissions as well. So this whole thing was fully developed and run on software. So another thing we were able to do in terms of marketing was that we were able to really narrow down and really clearly define who our consumer was and who our customers are. Consumers, which are the final users, the end users of the product, but we also have customers, which are the target market. We proposed our entire marketing message to target distributors since they were our customers, and then we also had a messaging for our consumers, directing them to our target market, our distributors. So that alone is very important. You need to separate. Your consumer may not be your customer. We learned this strategy from what the guys behind Indomie, what they do. Their consumer are kids, but of course it's not the kids that buy the product. Their customer is who? The mothers. So, but they did their own thing, and then their own strategy was to influence the parents by targeting the children. So, but we went for the distributors, and then we targeted the final users. When we are messaging the final users, we message them in a way that we lead them to the distributors. That was very key in our marketing message and very essential. So we were also able to also use social media to attract 3 sets of demography. So the people we were attracting was 1, consumers for the product, 2, distributors, which are actually our customers. And then we're also able to attract finance, investors, all these people that put in money. We used in financing the supermarket orders were literally people we met on social media by documenting everything we were doing. And then the simple thing about social media is I literally tell small business owners, it's not as difficult as you think. Don't create content, because the concept of creating content makes you think that you need to be creative and constantly do things that you're not comfortable with. No, you're not trying to be an influencer, you're trying to be a key person of influence. These are 2 different things. And so we simply positioned AFRILIFE and then documented everything we were doing in AFRILIFE. So when we bought a new machine, we'll document it. When we have a new distributor, we'll publicize the person, broadcast the person, and then literally people, our potential investors were following our journey. Our consumers were following our journey. Our potential distributors were following our journey. We just shared our journey. Everything we were doing on a daily basis, we documented it and posted on our social media handle. As a result, we were able to influence and draw investment to ourselves. So that is how it is done. And one of the things we've decided to do is to set up what we call a business scorecard. So at two categories, we have the business scorecard for aspiring entrepreneurs. Before you even start a business, all of these things I've talked about, you need to get them very clearly and precisely. So we have a scorecard that you can take the test. It's free. The link is on, check the link on the bio. You would see the link. You take the scorecard. It will prepare you ahead for aspiring entrepreneurs. Answer some critical questions before you even put any money out. And it's absolutely free. And then also for those who are already running businesses and they want to scale, and then that is for business readiness to scale. Business readiness to scale scorecard. So that puts you in a position to see, do you have the structure in place? Do you have the marketing message clearly defined, just like I've explained? Do you have the finance? And of course, do you have the strategy in place, just like I've also explained, talking about all the mistakes we made in place for you to scale to the next level? And I always tell people, business is like a child. You have different levels in the child's academic journey, just like a business. And I always work with what the government has already done in Nigeria by defining the different classes of business. We have the nano business. I don't like to use number of employees because this is the 21st century. A 5-man business can be raking in billions. So I choose to work with revenue. So a nano business is simply a business that generates less than 3 million annually. And then the next level, there is the micro business. Any business that makes less than 25 million annually is a micro business. Any business that makes less than 100 million annually is a small business. And any business that makes less than $1 billion annually is a medium business. So what I always do for entrepreneurs that are scaling, I say, look at these classes. First of all, know where you are on the journey. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Don't take it personal when they call you a small business owner. No, that is the level of your business. So as a business, you actually need to do what? Study where you are and take certain actions, and of course do certain things like those that are ready to scale from, so that you can move from one level to the other. If you're moving from nano, what do you need to do to move from nano to micro business? What do you need to do from micro to small business? What do you need to do from small business to mid-sized business, and then to, of course, a big business? Remember, we try to use a strategy of financing that we used at the small business level and try to grow into the mid-sized business. The field of play of the medium-sized business is different from the small-scale business. So we try to use what applies in the small scale to do in the medium scale without considering the factors that are applied in the medium scale, and we were burnt. So one of the things we do is, you need to understand that what is obtainable in a primary school is not what is obtainable in a secondary school. So you need this scorecard. It allows you to be able to identify where you are, what you need to put in place, and move to the next level. So if you found value, if you've learned anything, tell us what 1 or 2 things you were able to pick out and what you're going to do differently as a result of hearing this story. We also like for you to subscribe to the channel so that we can bring you stories of the silent builders of the African economy, the micro and small scale business owners who would never make the Forbes list, but they are doing a tremendous job out there. So subscribe to the channel and help us grow and help us reach more people. Share this to your friends, let them know about this channel, and we'll bring you most practical, field tested and proven and verified stories like this that can help you position your business properly and grow smarter. Thank you, and see you on the next episode.